Lesson 5.5a was learning how to find slope when you're given a graph by doing rise over run. This lesson, we're going to determine slope, but using 2 points. This is our formula to find slope. What this is y, it's said to be y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Slope is the change in the y, which is our rise, to the change in the x, which is our run. When you do the change in anything, when you're talking mathematically, it means to subtract the two numbers. So the change from 2 to 5 is 3. The change from 10 to 2 is 8. So here we're doing the change in y over the change in x. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You take your 2 points. So we're going to take this first point of negative 2, 3. Okay, we're going to call this point number 1. And we're going to call 3, 2 point number 2. So I'm going to do the change in the y's. So these are my y values, 3 and 2. So slope equals, I'm going to do y sub 2. So that's this point. So that's the number 2 minus y sub 1. That's the y value in the first coordinate. Whoops, that's a 3. Over, now the change in the x. So that's these two values. So x sub 2, which is 3, minus x sub 1, which is negative 2. So to find the slope of this first line, yes, you can count up and over. You can count up, rise 1, and then run however many. But this lesson is going to be all about using the formula. So we're going to use math behind it. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 3 minus negative 2, definitely use your calculators, is 5. So the slope of this line is negative 1 over 5. And you can see that here. Rise 1, run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are two different, I'm showing you 2 different ways to find the slope of a line. Example number 2 has the point 2, 1 and negative 4, negative 1. It's really hard to see those negative signs. So change in y over change in x. I'm going to call this point 2 and this point 1. The last time I called the first one point 1 and the second one point 2, but this time I'm going to reverse it. And I'm going to show you that it does not matter which one you call point 1 and point 2. So slope is change in y, so y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So y sub 2 is number 1 minus, and then y sub 1, because this is my point value number 1, is negative 1. 1 minus negative 1 over x values now. So x sub 2, because that's my point, my second coordinate, minus x sub 1. So that's the negative 4. 1 minus negative 1, please punch it into your calculators. You will get 2 over 2 minus negative 4. You will get 6. This will reduce to 1/3. And if you did rise over run, you will see 1, 2 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over. Same exact slope, 2 over 6. This last one, we have negative 5, negative 4, and negative 3, 1. So negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, 1. So I'll just call this one point 1, this one point 2. So change in y, here's my y's. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1, negative 4. So it's the y value of the second one minus the y value of the first one over x sub 2, negative 3, minus x sub 1, negative 5. Using my calculator, 1 minus negative 4 is 5. Negative 3 minus negative 5 is 2. So my slope is 5 over 2. If I change these two, and I made this one point number 2, and this one point number 1, and I did the y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, my y sub 2 value is this negative 4. So negative 4 minus my y sub 1 is 1 over my x sub 2 is now negative 5 my minus, my x sub 1 is negative 3. Okay, all I did was switch the coordinates, saying that this is now my second one and this is now my first one. So I still did y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 minus negative 3 is negative 2. They appear to be different. However, negative over negative gives you a positive 5 over 2. So it doesn't matter which one you call, y sub 1 and y sub 2. I can call this first one y sub 2, or I can call this first one coordinate 2 and this second one coordinate 1, or vice versa. You're still going to get the exact same slope. So when you're given just 2 points, you can either call this one point 1 and this one point 2, or you can call the first one point 2 and the second one point 1. You just have to continue to do y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I want you to pause the video and try to do numbers 4, 5, and 6. Take a second and check your answers for those problems. The next section, we are going to find and interpret slope of a line through different points. So here's where you're looking at actual problems. We're looking at earnings per hour. So if you have your y value as your earnings, your x value is your hours. So if you have your earnings are 10, we're going to take this first ordered pair of 210 and the second ordered pair of 420. And you have your earnings change in y, so 10 minus 20 over change in x, 2 minus 4. It's going to give you negative 10 over negative 2. So we found our slope is going to be a positive 5. The interpretation of this, though, is that you are earning $5, so your numerator is $5, over 1 hour. So you make $5 per hour. The second one here, seconds in height, same concept. Take the first 2 ordered pairs you see. You can take any 2. So you have 482, 164. And then put them in your slope formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 equals x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So here we have, I'm going to just call this coordinate 2 and this one 1. We have 82 minus 164 over 4 minus 8. 82 minus 164 is some value. And then 4 minus 8 is 4. And then when you reduce it, you're going to have 20.5 over 1. So that means you're going 20.5 seconds. And then your height, we'll just call it feet. Okay. To go 1 foot, it takes you 20.5 seconds. So in these next 2, they're just charted. Take the 2 ordered pairs that you see. I suggest using 0, 0, and 160 for this one, 0, 0, and 440 for this one, and putting them into your slope formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, and then simplifying it. I'm going to just write the answers, pause the video, you fill it out, and check your answers. Number 9, you'll get 60 miles in 1 hour, and 10, you'll get $10 for 1 pound. For this last problem, you're looking at the amounts you and your friend earn babysitting. So for the first one, you want to compare the steepness of the lines, and what does this mean in context of the problem? If you look at your friend's line is definitely steeper than your line, which means that your friend is going to make more than you do. Their rate of change is higher than yours. So what does this mean? Your friend makes more. So find and interpret the slopes. So choose your 2 points from each one. So here is you, and then this is your friends. So do your y sub 2 minus y sub 1 for you. So 40 minus 20 over 8 minus 4. Do not forget to keep it consistent. If this is your second ordered pair and this is your first, your friend is going to be 56 minus 28 over 8 minus 4. So for this one, you have 20 over 4. So $20 for every 4 hours. Here it is going to be 28. So So $28 for every 4 hours. Reduce it and you make $5 an hour. Your friend makes $7 an hour. So how much more money does your friend earn than you earn? Well, you can see that here your friend earns 7, you earn 5, so $2 more an hour. Biggest thing to remember is that you have your change in y, so your y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 to find the slope of your line mathematically.